right. Good Monday morning. I need you right now to put your iPads away. Those of you here in the room with me. We're going to do a little reviewing on figurative language. It's been a while. But where are you going to find information on figurative language? Brendan? In your reading notebooks, because we did that way back when. Okay, we're going to start with reviewing a little bit together, and then you have a flowcab assignment over figurative language. Okay. What is figurative language? Let's start there. What is it, Nick?
Isn't it like metaphors and similes?
It is metaphors, similes. Those are two examples. Those are two you'll be looking at more carefully tomorrow, because metaphors and similes, we tend to know them, but we confuse them, okay, and what those two are doing. John, what else can you tell me about figurative language? It's a way of writing, right? But when we use figurative language, what are we doing? What makes figurative language unique or different? Why do authors use it? Kenny? Right, make stories more interesting. Anything else? Nick?
You're comparing stuff a lot.
The metaphors and the similes are comparing, right? Those are comparing things. What else? Josh, put the iPad away, please. Need eyes up here, iPads put away. It's another example of a figurative language. Nick?
I know where it is. I forgot the name though.
There's a few of them. John, you got one? Onomatopoeia. That one's just fun to say, right? Jackson, another one. A what? An idiom. Wyatt? Personification. We talked about that one a lot, didn't we? Ioana? Hyperboles. And I think you talked about some of these recently with the poems too, didn't you, with Mrs. Bush? Okay, so we've seen figurative language quite a bit. Kenny? A metaphor and simile, we mentioned those. I'm going to slide this way. On Schoology, I snapped a picture of the poster there that I have on the board. For those of you watching this, it's available to you in Schoology. And it's just the poster I have over here. So you can keep this, if I can get it to open, so we can actually see it, right?
Why did you clip it up if you just reshow it?
There we go. How's I to take a picture? So it may not be very clear here, but if you pull it up on your iPad, you'll be able to see it much clearer. So here it says, when words mean something other than their literal meaning. So you might see the words literal device used or literary device used when they're talking about figurative language. Okay, they may not always say figurative language. They might say, find the literary device, which is figurative language. It's a different way of writing something. Okay, we talked about similes and metaphors, and those are comparing two things, but they compare two things a little differently, right? Similes are usually the ones we can easily find because they use what words? What words do similes use, Kenny? Right, they use the words like or as to compare things. A metaphor compares, but it does not use like or as. Okay? Shawnee, your eyes up here, please. We mentioned hyperbole. That one's up here. That's an exaggeration. That isn't possible, right? So if I tell you that I'm going to run 1,000,000 miles, or you're running at the speed of 1,000,000 miles per hour, am I exaggerating? But what do I mean when I say that? What does that mean? Maya? You're running a lot or you're running fast, right? Depending on how I word it. Okay, so it's just a way of saying that as opposed to just saying, oh, you run really fast. Okay, giving it, we said, more interest. Personification. Remembers that one? We talked about that one quite a bit. I think you might have talked about that one specifically too with the poems. John? Right, the sun is dancing in the sky or the moon is dancing in the sky. Those are personifying, right? It's giving something human qualities, even though it's not a human, and we know it can't do that. But what might that mean? If you said the sun was dancing in the sky, what might you be saying about the sun? Hunter? All right, you might say that it's moving. Nick?
Bright.
It's bright. Okay, maybe sometimes it kind of, if a cloud passes by, it covers it, and then might look like it's kind of brighter, and then it gets a little dimmer, right? So kind of the different lights there. All right. Alliteration, that's the repeating of initial consonant sounds, so those beginning sounds. We talked about Sally sells I can't even say it. Seashells on the seashore. There we go. One of those, like tongue twisters, right? That's an alliteration. The idioms, you guys mentioned that one, a group of words whose meaning are not literal. So raining cats and dogs, that's a popular one. Do I mean it's raining cats and dogs literally? No. What do I mean when I say that? Wyatt? Yeah, I say it's raining hard, and we're supposed to be raining like, not raining, like snowing like cats and dogs. Let's hope not, right? Let's hope it goes away.
Because it keeps going, like it was going.
Is it moving?
But it keeps going down.
Oh, okay, so maybe it'll miss us.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed. All right. The last one at the bottom is the onomatopoeia we mentioned, and those are words whose sounds suggest their meaning. So buzz, whoosh, okay, boom, all of those words like that are onomatopoeias. So it's the sounds and the meanings, okay? So that's a few of them, okay, that we have talked about over the course of the last few months at this point, right? And you've seen them several times, so we just want to make sure that you remember figurative language. What did I say was another word for figurative language? They may not say, find the figurative language. They might say what, Sean? They might use a figure of speech. They might say that. It's not the one I mentioned, though. So if we go back up here to this meaning, definition of figurative language, there were some words in here. Maya? Right, like here, literal, right? Because it's figurative language is not taking things literally. So they might ask you to find a literary device. Okay? So something that's making the story more interesting. So sometimes you'll see those questions as opposed to figurative language. Okay? All right. Let's escape out of that. So you are doing a vocab. And this one is on all of the figurative languages, just kind of a brief overview. I was just going to pull it up here. So I want you to see. I know I mentioned this. There it is. I don't want to see. I want to go to lesson. Here we go. So you generally watch the video, right? So in this case, it might be easier to pull this up. Because here, and you should be able to do this too, you can click on those words and it'll give you definitions of them. Okay? What's that? This is the lyrics underneath. So you have the video. If I click on video, down here it says lyrics. And you should be able to click on lyrics and pull up then the song, because they sing it pretty quick, right? Okay. So I would use this for reference, okay? Or you can just read this if you prefer not to necessarily watch it. It will play it here and you can listen to it there too. But here you have all of these different then words that they're trying to help you understand. You can click on those, okay? So there are some that we haven't talked about, okay? And that's okay. That there are some in here, juxtaposition and allusions. Some of those we haven't talked about, but there are onomatopoeia, personification, similes, metaphors. Those are in here, okay, to help you remember those. And then tomorrow we'll look more specifically at similes and metaphors. Today it's kind of a general overview, okay? Questions about your reading assignment for today? All right, the last thing is don't forget you have book reports due May 3rd. 2 of them. If you do any more than 2, those are extra credit. May 3rd is when they're due, okay? Or sooner. Some of you already have some turned in, okay? So get those done. All right, vocab for today.